actually, when I learned Six Sigma, it had nothing to do with, ASQ, or I had no idea about the 1.5 Sigma shift until way later, actually. When I learned it, I've got the
Good.
book in the other room. It was a big green book called Statistical Process Control that was written in the 1960s, I believe. And it is terse. But it again, it's the fundamental principles without any of the, anything on top of it. This is a control chart. These are the rules that you apply to, trends within a control chart. Here's how you can think about interpreting them and how you can integrate them into a broader system, which is the part that I think we forget a lot, is how does this stuff integrate into the broader system? And that, I think, is a lot of, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think that's where a lot of people get hung up, is trying to choose a doctrine that they think fits into what they need.
Yeah, and when Lean Six Sigma is explained poorly by trainers, by coaches, by training departments in big corporations, and nobody knows enough to question them. Nobody around them knows better to question it. So this version of what Six Sigma is, or this version of what Lean is, gets transmitted in the team, and everybody just doesn't question it. Everybody takes it as gospel.
That's
really
worse.
Disservice.
That's worse than not doing it in the first place. That's worse than doing nothing in the first place.
It discredits. I hate to say it because it makes our job harder. It discredits the subject. And you don't get the value out of it that you do when you teach it correctly.
Right.
You can't use it. You can't use it, right?
Right.
It's just like it's not practical, right? If you explain Poisson distribution and binomial distribution, every time you explain it, it's about defects per unit, or defectives, percent defectives, as like the ASQ ILSSI sort of version of what is Poisson distribution.
Yeah.
I think we've come to terms with the fact that Lean Six Sigma is just another name for methods of process improvement that date back to total quality management, that include things like the Shingo methods that are to do with Kaizen and quality circles and all these different things.
Yeah, and I mean, the way I look at it personally is I love statistics. That's kind of my thing. So I see it as, it started with a couple of statisticians. I mean, really, you can make a case that it goes as far back as, the cotton gin, or, other kind of industrial innovations. But, I'll pin it to kind of Shewhart and Deming as the, where it kind of crystallized into something that it became today. But I personally never understood why anybody, would stress over it in the first place.
No.
I mean, they're ideas that come from the same couple of guys, that all lived around the same time and did very similar work as one another, and kind of came to similar conclusions and did different things with them, I try to simplify it like that, and that to me takes most of the kind of politics out of it,
Yeah. I mean, all elements of improvement are game for being considered when we talk about Lean Six Sigma. Division of labor, going back a couple of hundred years, a few hundred years, division of labor, the assembly line, the Ford assembly line, Taylorism in the late teens and early 20s, 1920s, and the Gilbreth, the process mapping that was done then. All of these things have their role within it, and we're trying not to be too dogmatic about what is in what section and this sort of thing. What I'm really trying to get away from personally is, the Motorola definitions of what is Six Sigma based on the normal distribution and standard deviations and and 1.5 sigma shifts.
Yep.
I'm trying to get away from all of that, but people of certain trainings obsess on that and think that's important to be able to switch between a process sigma level and a capability CPK level. Like, really, do we really care? What do you run into
right,
that?
your process sucks at the end of the day either way, so you measure it however you want, it doesn't matter, you know. At some point that's kind of where you have to land with it. And the way I explain it to
measure suckiness is up to you. Yeah.
Yeah. But I tell people what happened at Toyota when I was in high school. I was really into, you know, like Eastern philosophy and stuff like that, and you know, and one thing that taught me, especially kind of in the context of the Toyota production system, is what came out of Toyota in the, you know, between the 1950s and the 80s, and I'll use them as the example that I kind of know the most about. It was their experience in their environment at that time. It was Japan post-war, with, you know, very little economy, brand new unions that had, you know, disproportionate power that were able to, you know, grind a lot of these companies to a halt when things got bad. And that was what shook out of it in that environment at that time. That was, and you had people like Taiichi Ono, who were very good storytellers, who, you know, recognized this and decided to talk about it. And then we in the West took that, bucketed it into things, turned it into Toyota production system, then total quality management, and, you know, and it ballooned from there.
Yeah.